Amidst the laughter and chatter of the classmates, the atmosphere in the dimly lit room is charged with anticipation. As a bottle spins, deciding the fate of the next person in the truth and dare game. Vine, the introvert as she is, watched the game with not much enjoyment until the bottle pointed at her. She was already forced to play the game. The whole class was playing the game, so the only friend of her forced her to play it too. When the bottle pointed at her, her heartbeat fastened up as she looked around to find everyone's eyes on her. She wanted to wrap it up quickly. She picked up a chit from the bowl and read it in her mind. Her eyes widened. Before she could hide the chit, her friend snatched it from her immediately and read it out loud. Spend the night with the person sitting on your right if they are of opposite gender. If not, then the person next to them. The person right to her was her friend, and then the next one was the notorious bad boy, Jungkook. Everyone looked at him and started screaming in joy, especially Vine's friend. She shyly looked towards Jungkook. Jungkook's eyes flickered above where Vine was, innocence radiating from her every feature. She looks at him, startled by the unexpected turn of events, unaware of what he must be thinking. She smiled internally, as she didn't dare to do it in front of everyone. Jungkook, maintaining his cool exterior, rises from his seat with a smirk. Jungkook, guess I won't be able to watch the whole game. We'll see you all tomorrow, he said with no remorse for what happened to him. We will be waiting to see your face glow after tonight. One of the voices came, as everyone laughed on it. He rubbed the back of his neck as he looked at Vine. She was looking downwards. He unexpectedly held her hand, making her eyes widen and heartbeat fasten, her cheeks getting red when she heard everyone's clapping from behind. He took her to the outside. She followed him shyly. As they leave the room, a mix of whispers and gasps follows them. In the quiet of the night, Jungkook leads Vine to a rooftop, the city lights below, twinkling like stars. The air is charged with a different kind of energy as they find a cozy spot far from prying eyes. Seated under the moonlit sky, Jungkook looked at her and she looked back. She spoke. What are we going to do the whole night? She said hesitatingly. He thought for a while before speaking. Let's get to know each other. Talk throughout the night, have dinner, and go our ways. Is that okay? The calm voice of him echoed in her ears, as she never witnessed it once. All she would ever hear from him was his deep, growling voice for others. But it was too sweet today. She kept looking at him and said, That's the best ideal. Turns out everyone knows about you, but no one knows about me. Fine. So I will start by telling my story, she said with a mix of nervousness and excitement. She saw him scoffing as he looked ahead. He leaned against the wall as he sat on the ground. with his knees hugging his chest and his elbows on his knees. He said with a different glow on his face, "You think everyone knows about me?" he said and looked downwards. His expressions changed into a gleamy sadness, which she observed clearly. She took a sigh and sat a few inches away from him as she said, "I mean, everyone knows how tough you are and that you never give up. It's kind of cool." He scoffed again. "I don't know why this is happening. I never told anyone about my real self, but something inside me wants to tell you so bad." He took a sigh and continued, "You said it yourself that I was cool. No one looks down on me anymore. This reputation, I don't know myself, which was the real me." The regret that he had on his face was clearly seen by her eyes when he hid it by smiling. "Wine. Any more? So you weren't like this from the start. It's not your own self?" Jungkook, who wants to be a bad person at will. He paused for a minute. "Jungkook, everyone looked down on me in the previous school, bullied me because I didn't fit the so called beauty standards. I left that school, focused on my looks, took care of my health before coming here. I made a complete new expression here. So no one looks down on me anymore. To be cool, I guess." Vine heard all of this patiently before coming a bit close to him. She put her hand on his as she looked at her, and she looked back. "Vine, you think it was cool? You hide your true self and think that it's cool to do so?" She locked her eyes with him while saying that. "Jungkook, what could I do? I wanted to make friends, be popular, not that one kid who's always left behind. Vine, to think that someone like you was bullied once is already a shock. It doesn't matter if someone looks down on you or not. You shouldn't be ashamed of who you are." "Vine, don't you have dreams? Something that you really want to become?" Jungkook, "Dreams? I guess I forgot what was my dream anymore. I'm just filled with fears and scars from my past at this time." Vine, you're afraid to face yourself? How would you face your dreams? Jungkook looked at her as she continued. "It's okay to take care of your health, your looks too, if you like it. But hiding your true self isn't cool at all. Yes, you should be able to fight back if someone hits you, but that doesn't mean—" She paused for a second and then said, "That doesn't mean you lose yourself in the process." Jungkook's eyes were red already. He would have cried if her hand wasn't on his, or if she wasn't with her. Jungkook smiled. "I didn't know you could talk that much." Vine hesitated as she realized. She herself didn't know she would talk too much in front of her crush. She thought she was out of his league because of how notorious he is. But sitting with him, she realized he wasn't what he showed at all. She looked at him and found out that he was already staring at her. She hesitated and looked away, but he didn't. She looked back and he was still staring. His eyes looked down at her lips. He said quietly, "They say introverts talk a lot in front of the people they are comfortable with. Jungkook, thinking that you're already comfortable, I won't regret it. He paused for a minute before saying, I like you. As soon as he said, he crashed his lips upon hers. Her eyes widened, butterflies danced in her stomach, and she blushed like crazy, thinking that she always wanted this herself. She kissed him back, softly yet firmly and resiliently. He wasn't much surprised. He just smiled and went with the flow. After breaking the kiss, she immediately looked away from him, and he laughed. Fine. Why are you laughing? Jungkook. You said you would tell me your story, but I ended up telling mine. She smiled and without looking held his hand. I will tell you later. We have a lot of time as of now. Jungkook. But there is one thing I missed. I liked you ever since I came to this school, but only watched you from the shadows. Never did I ever consider you would like me back too. She blushed hardcore. Fine. Right. I like you too. I always did. She finally looked up at him as she said. He smiled and got up while holding her hand. They looked down at the city lights, the cars that went by, and at the trees that shone under the moonlight. The night unfolds with a continuous exchange of laughter, stories, and unspoken feelings.